Revealed, the incredible journey of a man who discovered his true self after losing everything. Tom Reynolds sat in his small, sunlit office, staring blankly at the layoff notice, trembling hands gripping the edge of his desk. The words on the page blurred, their meaning slicing painfully through the quiet hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. Architect, husband, father. All of it threatened to unravel in a heartbeat. His heart raced, a wild torrent pulsing through his veins as he struggled to comprehend this bitter twist of fate. What had he done wrong? 1,000 thoughts crowded his mind, accusing him of inadequacy. The stability he had worked tirelessly to maintain now hung by a thread as he felt the walls of his life close in around him. How had it come to this? He glanced at the walls adorned with framed photos, remnants of family vacations and milestones now haunting him like specters of a fading past. Sam, his teenage son, once vibrant with laughter, now sulked silently in his room, an ever-growing storm brewing within him. The tension between father and son tightened the air in their home, thick with unspoken words and fear for the future. Tom found himself juggling job applications and overdue bills, trapped in a cycle of relentless pressure. What was he doing wrong? Why couldn't he bridge the emotional gulf forming between them? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. In the dim light of the garage, amidst the dust and forgotten memories, Tom stumbled upon a collection of vibrant paintings, all crafted by his late father. Those pieces, bursting with color, screamed of passion and lost ambition, stirring something deep inside him. Inspiration flickered like a distant star, buried beneath layers of architectural blueprints and deadlines long since chased away. It ignited a desperate hope. What if he could create something beautiful for their town? Something that would weather this economic storm and connect him and Sam again. But with that spark came doubt and fear. How could an architect pivot to art? The whispers and judgment from former colleagues lingered in the air like a subtle poison. Was he just a man chasing after a fleeting dream while neglecting his responsibilities? Tom's stomach twisted in knots as he contemplated sharing his vision. And when he finally mustered the courage to ask Sam for help, the jagged tension fractured into a full-blown confrontation. Sam's lashing words stung. "You're not an artist, Dad." It was as if a chasm yawned between them, threatening to consume the last remnants of their fractured relationship. Standing on the precipice of a monumental decision, Tom felt paralyzed, his pulse racing with uncertainty. He didn't know if pursuing his father's legacy through art would draw him and Sam together or pull them further apart. Visions of showcasing his father's work alongside his own swirled in his mind. A local gallery was interested in highlighting this fusion of past and present, but what if it all blew up in his face? Could he truly weave a tapestry of beauty amidst chaos? As he gazed at the unfinished canvas in front of him, the question lingered, heavy with possibility. Would he dare to embrace his true self, or let fear dictate his destiny? Tom stood in his garage, the once lifeless space flickering to life in his imagination. Each painting whispered of vibrancy and passion, beckoning him to acknowledge a part of himself he had long buried. The thrill of creativity clashed with the weight of financial anxiety, leaving him suspended between inspiration and self-doubt. Could this leap into the unknown not only illuminate his obscure path but also bridge the widening rift between him and Sam? The day stretched ahead, a blank canvas reminiscent of the one awaiting his brush. Tom let his gaze wander, absorbing the remnants of his father's legacy. Memories erupted like fireworks in his mind, fingers stained with paint, laughter echoing through the avenues of their home. Art had been more than a pursuit, it had been a language, one he promised to carry forward yet had chosen to silence over the years. Yet now, with his present eroding, he hesitated. The fear of failure gripped him like a vice. The gallery's interest felt like a weight pressing down, a challenge that could either lift him or crush him under its expectations. He envisioned showcasing not only his father's work, but also a fresh collection of his own creations. But was he ready to face his past ambitions? Or was this, ultimately, an act of desperation masquerading as a noble adventure? There's no harm in trying, he muttered under his breath, a tentative mantra to quell the rising tide of anxiety. But the inner critic was relentless. He wasn't an artist. Who would come to see his work? The diverse crowd of peers he once mingled with would surely gather to witness his failure, whispering behind his back, mocking the architect-turned-wannabe artist. Seeking escape, he ventured outside into the summer sun, letting the warmth seep into his bones. Each step away from the garage felt as though he was walking back in time, reflecting on moments he'd abandoned for the security of a paycheck. He made his way to Sam's room, hesitating briefly before knocking. The vague thump of music and muffled voices drifted through the door, remnants of a teenage world that began to feel utterly foreign. "Can we talk?" he called out, suppressing the quiver in his voice. "Not now, Dad," Sam shot back, a tinge of irritation bleeding through the door. The words struck like arrows, and Tom's heart sank. He paced the hallway, considering his options. He needed to break the cycle to break through the walls Sam had erected. In a moment of impulsivity, he grabbed one of his father's paintings, the one depicting a vibrant sunset, and set it against the doorframe. Then he knocked once more, holding his breath. "Sam," he said, voice steadying, "please come out. I want to show you something." After a brief pause, the door creaked open, revealing Sam's guarded expression. The moment hung in the air, thick with tension, yet Tom could also sense a flicker of curiosity. "What is it?" "Just look," he gestured toward the painting, an invitation disguised as an offering. Sam hesitated, then slowly stepped forward, his brow furrowing in concentration as he studied the colors splashed across the canvas. "This is Dad, is it really yours?" Tom nodded, a solemn pride swelling within him. "It was my father's, and I want to honor him. You know I'm trying to make something more than just my architect plans. I could use your help. It might bring us closer, just like it used to." The silence between them felt electric, charged with unresolved emotions and potential. Would Sam dismiss him again, or could this moment ignite a new path for both of them? As questions fluttered through the air like possibilities yet unborn, Tom realized the stakes were higher than art. They were about connection, healing, and perhaps even redemption. Could this moment be the key to mending their bond? Or would it shatter the fragile remains even further? Tom braced himself for the truth lurking just beyond the edge of their conversation. It was time to confront the reality of their relationship, and as he opened his mouth to speak, the words dangled on the precipice of revelation. The weight of the moment pressed down on Tom, his heart racing, caught between hope and fear. Sam's gaze shifted from the painting to Tom's face, a mixture of curiosity and skepticism etched in his features. "What do you mean, help?" Sam finally asked, brows knitted together. "I want to create a new collection inspired by my father, by me. I thought maybe you'd want to contribute. Maybe paint alongside me?" The idea rolled off his tongue with a tentative excitement, but as he spoke, a new anxiety gripped him, the fear of rejection. To his surprise, Sam's eyes softened for just a brief instant, revealing a vulnerability that Tom seldom saw. "You want me to help, like create art?" "Exactly," Tom affirmed, a surge of adrenaline igniting his spirit. "I remember how we used to tease each other about our sketches. You're so talented, Sam. This could be a way for us to connect again." Sam shifted his weight, the painting seemingly forgotten as he processed the unexpected invitation. "But you haven't painted in years. What makes you think it'll be any different now?" The question cut like a knife, splitting through Tom's carefully constructed resolve. The truth was, he didn't have a solid answer. "I guess I just feel like I have something to prove. To myself, to you, to your grandfather." Sam's expression flicked between doubt and intrigue. "And what if you fail?" The very thought rippled through Tom, summoning forth his insecurities. He hesitated, reflecting on the countless sketches that had piled up over the years, neglected like forgotten dreams. He wanted to be brave, but the prospect of failure loomed large, its shadow creeping into his heart. Yet, it was also a powerful catalyst. What if you never try? He countered, his voice raw with passion. What if we do something that breathes life back into this house, into our connection? We could paint, we could spend time together. Tom's words hung thick in the air, the desperate yearning behind them palpable. He sensed the winds of change stirring. Sam's stiff posture relaxed, a glimmer of possibilities starting to take root in his eyes. Fine, Sam finally said, though his tone was still guarded. But I'm not making any promises. And you're probably going to suck. A laugh bubbled up from Tom's throat, an unexpected release of tension. I'll take that challenge. Happiness surged within him, and for the first time in a long while, Tom felt hope blossom, fragile but radiant in an otherwise turbulent landscape. They spent the rest of the day preparing the garage for their artistic endeavor, the air filled with tentative laughter and playful teasing, the kind that had long evaded their relationship. As they rummaged through supplies and stacked up paint cans, Tom felt a new energy coursing through him. Each moment, each interaction with Sam stoked a fire deep within, pushing aside the dark clouds of self-doubt. Yet just when things felt promising, Tom stumbled upon a box filled with his father's old sketches, intricate designs and fluid lines that evoked memories both sweet and painful. A sharp pain pierced his chest, the nostalgia threatening to overwhelm him. Dad, you okay? Sam's voice cut through the fog of memories. Tom nodded, forcing a smile, but the truth was more complicated than he could articulate. Their journey together had just begun, but haunting uncertainties lingered like ghosts in the periphery of his thoughts. It was now or never. He had to face the looming challenge head-on, confront the shadows of his past, and strive towards the vibrant future ahead, one that could finally mend the bond with his son. Let us start with that sunset, Sam suggested, gesturing towards the vibrant painting. All right, let us do it, Tom replied, determination firming his voice. But deep down, he questioned, was he truly prepared for the chaos of creativity? The thought hung heavily, daring him to confront the inner fears that had kept him shackled for years. As brushes began to dance across the canvas, the tentative joy was laced with an impending realization each stroke was not just about painting, but about confronting the narratives he had long accepted. Would he find the courage to rewrite those narratives, or would the repressed pieces of his past plague him as he sought to forge a new future? The looming canvas held the promise of discovery, and Tom could only hope he wouldn't falter now that he had taken the first step. As paint met canvas, the heart of the artist awakened, but was it too late to reclaim a birthright long forgotten? Tom stood before the blank canvas, the evening light brushing over its surface like a gentle caress. The weight of the moment felt heavier than the vivid colors he was about to unleash. He dipped his brush into the crimson paint, its vibrant hue an embodiment of his fears, hopes, and long-buried dreams. The bristles touched the canvas, but with each tentative stroke, a conflux of memory surged within him, each artistic decision reminiscent of the artistic legacy he had ached to reclaim. For years, creativity had been eclipsed by a relentless cycle of routine, work commitments, and overwhelming self-doubt. But standing there, with Sam by his side, Tom realized that this wasn't just an opportunity to paint. It was a chance to excavate his identity from layers of forgotten aspirations. This sunset looks better in your head than on the canvas, Sam remarked, his tone playful yet teasingly critical. Tom couldn't help but chuckle, feeling the spark of their shared history rekindle. The subtle jab invited a lightness into the air, and with it, a flicker of confidence ignited within him. Just wait, Tom replied, a playful grin dancing across his lips. You'll see what I'm capable of. Yet the creeping doubt remained. With every brushstroke, he risked unveiling not just his artistic abilities, but the deeper tumult within himself. What if he revealed more than just talent? What if he exposed vulnerability? The mere thought sent a shiver down his spine as he painted the fiery hues of the setting sun. Each blending color felt like a confrontation with his own fears, the fear of inadequacy, of exposing his true self, of connecting with Sam not just as a father, but as an individual navigating life as best he could. As the vibrant colors burst forth on the canvas, Memories of his father flooded back. Tom recalled the tenderness in his father's eyes as he critiqued his early sketches, laughing when Tom inevitably misjudged the placement of shadows. He longed to hear that laughter once more, to know that his father would be proud of this moment, of him stepping into the light after years of hiding in the shadows. "What are you thinking about?" Sam's voice broke through Tom's reverie. "Just my father," Tom confessed, his voice dropping slightly, the weight of the admission palpable. "He used to tell me that art speaks the truths we're afraid to voice." "Yeah? What would he think of this?" Sam gestured towards the evolving canvas, which was rapidly transforming from an abstract chaos into a more cohesive image of a sunset, a symbol of hope reborn. "I think he'd be happy I'm trying again," Tom replied, allowing himself to embrace the moment. "That I'm here with you." The acknowledgement resonated between them, the tension of the past slipping away, replaced by the intimacy of shared creativity. The air, thick with paint fumes and camaraderie, felt electric, as if it were reweaving the fabric of their fractured relationship. As the sun sank lower on the horizon, illuminating their workspace with soft golden light, Tom let himself become fully immersed in the process. With every brushstroke, he wove narratives of love, loss, and redemption onto the canvas, each layer a brick laid down toward rebuilding his identity. But as the colors blended and shapes emerged, he felt a whisper of fear tickle the back of his mind. Could he maintain this momentum? The thought clawed at him, instilling a quiet apprehension. Had he merely scratched the surface of his potential? When Sam stepped back to survey their progress, a satisfied smile broke out on his face, so much like his mother's. "You're getting the hang of it, old man. Who knew you had it in you? Maybe we need to check the local galleries." "I could be the next great artist," Tom quipped, buoyed by Sam's approval. But deep down, a sobering realization loomed. This journey was not merely about painting. It was about confronting the man he had become and the father he yearned to be. With every stroke, the canvas became less about the sunset and more of a reflection of his journey, a landscape colored by frantic aspirations and hesitant bravery. What lay ahead was uncertain, an unfinished masterpiece that mirrored his life's complexities. An unsettling whisper darted through his mind like a mischievous wind. What if this was only a temporary escape? The looming question teased him, reminding him of the fragility of this moment of connection. And as they painted together, Tom held his breath, wondering not just if he could complete the artwork, but what revelations awaited him beyond the canvas. Would this artistic endeavor patch the severed threads of their relationship, or would the past resurface to remind them of unresolved pain? The evening deepened around them, and Tom steeled himself. A confrontation was coming, both with the painting and the voids within his heart. Tom's brush glided with renewed determination, each stroke imbued with the kind of urgency that had eluded him for years. The colors danced spiritedly on the canvas, swirling together to form not just a sunset, but an unveiling of himself. In that moment, he felt the urge to transcend the mundane life he had become accustomed to. His corporate job, the endless meetings that drained his vitality, the presence of self-doubt that loomed like a storm cloud overhead. Sam watched his father closely, the simplicity of his gaze reflecting admiration and perhaps a hint of apprehension. "Dad, what if you let go of trying to make it perfect?" His question disarmed Tom, prompting an inward glance at his own relentless pursuit of flawlessness, a chase that had ultimately led to stagnation. "Let go, huh?" The idea resonated, a soft whisper rising above the tumult inside. Could he truly liberate himself from the unyielding grip of perfectionism that had plagued him for so long? The thought was both tantalizing and terrifying. Moments of freedom to create were often buried beneath burdens of expectation, the fear of inadequacy suffocating the very essence of his creativity. "You know, the best art comes from real feelings," Sam said, placing a hand on Tom's shoulder. "It doesn't have to be a masterpiece." A flicker of vulnerability flashed through Tom's mind, bringing with it a cascade of emotions he had long suppressed. Art, he realized, was about embracing imperfections, the happy accidents that defined a journey. He felt the weight of his own criticisms crumble slightly, revealing the boy who had once painted for joy rather than validation. With newfound resolve, Tom dipped his brush once more, this time allowing emotional honesty to drive his hand. The swirls of orange and purple morphed rhythmically, transforming into an abstract skyline, echoing the chaos and beauty of his life. The past began to dissolve, and for the first time, he felt free to explore the contours of his soul on canvas. Embarking on this journey of self-discovery, Tom realized he was not merely recreating a sunset. He was scripting a narrative of redemption not just for himself, but for Sam too. He caught his son's eye and felt a rush of determination. "I want you to remember this, Sam. Not just the painting, but the process. Embracing who we are, flaws and all, is what makes us real." "Maybe you should try something wild," Sam suggested, his enthusiasm surfacing. "What about a storm? It could be, I don't know, a symbol of what you're going through?" Tom hesitated, the suggestion both exhilarating and daunting. A storm could signify the tumultuous emotions often lurking beneath his composed exterior. Would he have the courage to face that emotional tempest? He pondered the thought, and despite the instinct to retreat into safety, he felt a spark ignite within him. "Okay," he said, inhaling deeply, his pulse quickening as he imagined a canvas marred with chaos, yet vibrant, a reflection of battle endured and victories yet to come. "Let us do this." As he initiated the tempest on the canvas, strokes growing bolder and darker, something shifted within. The vibrant chaos spoke to his inner struggles, laying bare the intricacies of his psyche. He was finally owning his narrative, confronting feelings long buried and realizing they were not things to be ashamed of, but rather sources of power waiting to be unleashed. But at that moment, another thought intruded. The very idea of unveiling this raw aspect of himself in front of Sam triggered a deep-seated fear. Could he truly open up his vulnerabilities and allow his son to see him not just as dad, but as a man navigating his own storm? As the stormy shades took form, a palpable tension hung in the air, a silent challenge rising to meet him. Tom felt poised at the brink of revelation. Would this artistic expression turn into a gateway toward healing, or was it destined to reveal more than he could handle? With the storm swirling on canvas, Tom gripped the brush tightly, the surface of the painting a mirror to his own depths, a juxtaposition of chaos and beauty, inviting further exploration. The moment pulsed with anticipation. He was acutely aware that the stakes had risen. He would soon have to decide whether to confront the full breadth of who he truly was and what lay just beyond the surface. The evening's shadows deepened, and Tom felt an unrelenting pressure as the emotional storms within him surged, leading him closer to confronting not only his fears, but the intricacies of a relationship he was desperate to mend. What awaited him on the other side of courage and vulnerability felt imminent and vital. The real question loomed large: could he face the storm within himself without losing sight of the light that promised to break through? The brush glided furiously against the canvas, and with each stroke, Tom felt as if he were tearing through the fabric of his own constraints. The layered hues blended into swirling forms of darkness and light, a tempest capturing not just a storm, but the raw essence of his experiences. Here he was, not just a father or a corporate worker, but a man grappling with identity and vulnerability. Could he truly peel back the layers of his self-protective facade? As he painted, Tom's thoughts roiled alongside the tempest he was creating. Every swirl was a piece of him that he had deemed too chaotic to confront. This was no longer merely a reflection on the canvas, it was an excavation of his soul's buried treasures and scars. He wondered if Sam felt the intensity of the moment, if his son understood the weight of what was transpiring. Tom's brush trembled slightly as he paused to consider Sam's presence. He recalled hearing his son's gentle encouragement, "Let go of perfection." Perhaps it wasn't just the artistry he needed to release, but the rigid constructs of his life, the carefully erected walls. What if laying bare his imperfections could weave a stronger fabric of understanding between them? Frustration bubbled within as doubts clawed at him. Had he been hiding behind the illusion of control, distilling his emotions to mere labels of success and failure? The storm on his canvas became a battleground, reflecting the turmoil of a lifetime spent avoiding conflict. With each paint-laden swipe, Tom felt something shifting. He began to grasp that the tumultuous forces whirling in the colors were not just external. They mirrored the internal struggle he desperately needed to address. Past failures, missed opportunities, emotional turmoil. The dark hues began to swirl together, revealing shards of light peeking through. What if vulnerability became his strength instead of a weakness? But still, a critical voice whispered, what would Sam think of this raw version of his father? Was it wise to unmask himself, to expose the messy reality shrouded in years of stoicism? The fear of losing the semblance of control was palpable. Shaking his head slightly, Tom pushed aside the anxiety that threatened to stall his creation. This was a pivotal moment, a crescendo in his journey. He had the power to rewrite both his canvas and his life. As thoughts collided in a chaotic dance, he chose to embrace the vulnerability. Perhaps the storm, denoting turmoil, could also symbolize growth, resilience forged in adversity. The brush pressed firmly into the musty fibers of the canvas as he added splashes of white and bright turquoise against the dark winds swirling around. He was jolted by the clarity of realization. Artistry, much like life, meant embracing the emotional spectrum. Just then, Sam's voice broke through the silence. "Dad, it's beautiful. It's like there's hope among the chaos." Those simple words struck Tom deeply. The desire to instill hope in his son was stronger than his fear of exposure. As he turned to look at Sam, he could see admiration in his son's eyes alongside something deeper, a yearning for connection. "Do you really see hope?" Tom asked, the weight of his past lifting slightly as he conversed, stepping away from the painting to talk genuinely with his son. "Yeah. It's like when it storms, it's hard, but eventually, the sun comes out, right?" Sam's innocence brought a lightness that surged through Tom's heart. In that moment, he understood that embracing his own storm could strengthen their bond instead of distancing them. Driven by newfound clarity, Tom reaffirmed his commitment to navigating this emotional tempest together with his son. He wanted Sam to witness the journey behind the canvas, not just the finished piece. What if confronting his fears could lead to them both discovering pieces of themselves they had never begun to understand? As they locked eyes, a powerful thought flickered in Tom's mind. This journey was about so much more than art. It was a metamorphosis that couldn't be rushed or judged by society's expectations. The tempest would become a symbol of strength, not just for Tom, but for Sam too. Yet as he wrestled with these revelations, Tom realized that a deeper challenge loomed. Writing the first chapter in their new relationship dynamic was only the beginning. Would they both have the courage to weather the storm of truth and vulnerability ahead? The brush poised above the canvas, Tom inhaled sharply, preparing to finish his piece, but another thought bubbled to the surface. Could he evoke their shared healing without losing connection to the very storms of their individual pasts? What awaited them on the other side of this exploration felt more significant than he could comprehend. The moment hung heavy between creation and raw truth, leaving a lingering anticipation. Would the next brushstroke reveal not only the beauty of their journey, but the profound depths of their hearts? As Tom stood before the canvas, an electric tension crackled in the air. His fingers, still stained with paint, hovered over the almost finished piece, a representation of the emotional gale swirling within him. He felt like a phoenix, pushed to the precipice of destruction, teetering on the edge of rebirth. In that nebulous moment, choices loomed large in his mind, yet clarity slipped like the colors he'd blended moments before. His thoughts cascaded back to the corporate world he had weathered, the boardrooms where he'd once commanded respect but had stripped himself of authenticity. The man who lived to climb the corporate ladder now felt like an actor playing a role he could no longer relate to. Each decision had compounded his disconnection. The world had carved out a space where he could no longer easily exist. "Dad?" Sam's voice was cautious, drawing him back from the swirl of existential contemplation. Tom turned to see him standing nearby, eyes wide, fingers playfully dipping into the residual paint on his palette. "Are you okay?" "Just thinking about how I want to finish this," Tom replied, trying to find certainty in the uncertainty. But beneath his composed words, the weight of vulnerability surged. It felt risky to share the depth of his thoughts, to unveil anything more than the mere surface of their relationship. "Can I help?" Sam's eagerness was palpable, innocence tinged with an unshakable belief in his father's potential. Here was Tam's opportunity, a chance to bridge the gap, to invite his son into the raw emotional wilderness he wandered. Instead, he felt himself retreat, uncertainty biting at his resolve. Could he allow his son to witness the depth of his doubts without risking his admiration? "Just give me a moment," Tom responded softly, his heart pounding against the barricades of fear. As he gazed back at the canvas, he questioned whether he was willing to expose the fragility beneath his shield. Could he not only express his vulnerabilities, but also inspire Sam to embrace his own storms? He realized that to nurture a bond with Sam, he'd first have to confront the fear that had long dictated his life. Control had been a comforting illusion, the belief that he could navigate through challenges as if they were mere hurdles in a race. But now, standing amidst his creation, he understood that traversing toward vulnerability did not entail losing control. It entailed owning it in an authentic way. With newfound determination, Tom turned back to Sam, his voice steadying as he said, "You know, sometimes we have to get a little messy to find something beautiful. Can you help me with that?" The smile that broke across Sam's face lit up Tom's heart, a reminder of what truly mattered. They navigated back to the canvas together, Tom consciously pushing the colors around to reveal the brighter strokes that ventured through the storm. Each swirl of paint felt like a breakthrough, a boundary shattered, a fear confronted, a legacy of letting go started to form in each stroke of the brush. Tom felt the walls of doubt begin to dissolve. As he painted, he was not just creating an image, but activating a dialogue with Sam. The way they danced around the canvas became a metaphor for their relationship. The act of sharing this chaotic and emotional journey showed his son the strength found in imperfection. As they worked side by side, laughter broke through the intensity, a healing balm that stitched their hearts. It echoed in the space between them, unearthing something reassuring in the shared moments. Tom was beginning to understand that revealing his true self to Sam wasn't just an emotional revelation, it was a light that could illuminate their path forward together. Yet, with each vibrant splash on the canvas, there loomed a lingering thought at the back of his mind. What other storms still waited beneath the surface? How much of himself was still concealed behind the layers of expectation, both from himself and society at large? The compelling pull of uncharted territory beckoned him onward, pushing Tom to ask himself the crucial question: could he continue on this path, exposing more of who he truly was? The next brushstroke awaited, ready to reveal what lay hidden in the depths of his soul. Would he dare confront it? As the last strokes of paint settled on the canvas, Tom felt an unfamiliar exhilaration mingling with his exhaustion. The energy he'd drawn from the act of creation lifted him, pushing away the remnants of self-doubt. It was as though he had unearthed a hidden reservoir of strength, and for the first time in years, he felt closer to the man he'd always wanted to be. "Dad, can we paint the sky next?" Sam asked, eyes brimming with enthusiasm. Their collaboration had unearthed a spirit long buried in Tom, igniting a bond that felt richer than any corporate accolade he'd ever earned. "That's a great idea. Let us make it a sunset," Tom replied, sensing the weight of the moment heighten as they prepared to embolden their canvas with layers of burnt orange and delicate purples. This simple act illustrated more than mere artistry. It embodied a moment of shared vulnerability. As they dipped their brushes into the vibrant hues, each stroke mirrored a push against the confines he had confined himself to for so long. The resonance of laughter enveloped them, filling the small studio as the air thickened with the scent of paint. Tom realized this was not just about painting, it was a reflection of the lessons he was beginning to internalize. Embracing chaos led to awe, and the beauty they were creating together was a powerful testament to how human connection could cultivate growth. But still, unease lurked beneath this cathartic euphoria. As Tom's mind oscillated between artistic liberation and the remnants of his past, the accumulated echoes of his corporate life loomed like specters. How could he sustain this momentum once the brushes were cleaned and the paint dried? It was clear that embracing vulnerability would force him to confront not only his fears, but also the suffocating expectations he had long upheld. "Sam," Tom paused, his palette still in hand, Do you ever feel pressured to hide what you really think or feel, just to fit in? He studied his son's face, searching for signs of understanding. Sam furrowed his brow, clearly contemplating the question. Tom felt that this was more than just a casual conversation. It was a chance to teach Sam about authenticity, a topic that had deeply troubled him for years without resolution. Yes, sometimes, Sam admitted shyly. But I want to be myself, not someone else. Tom's heart swelled at the honesty of his son's response. It became evident that the artistic journey was not merely about the strokes on the canvas. It represented a larger, more important lesson about genuine existence. Thus, amidst vibrant colors and spontaneous laughter, he resolved to share his narrative openly with Sam, the long journey of masking one's self and the beauty of revealing one's true colors. In that moment, a sudden thought struck him. What if sharing his own story of struggle could empower Sam to chart his own course without the weight of conformity? The potential for growth lay in this exchange, and Tom felt an overwhelming urgency to connect on this deeper level. Their painting now felt like a visual metaphor for the turbulent chapters in his life, the chaotic swirl of emotions met with steady, intentional colors of hope and authenticity. Yet, as he blended in the final strokes, confusion swirled alongside clarity. Would the authenticity he yearned for expose him to even more vulnerability? As the last stroke dried, both father and son stepped back to admire their work. It was a reflection of their journey, a promise of what could be. But with newfound connection came the haunting realization that opening himself further could invite chaos from the outside world, confrontations he had sought to avoid for so long. Tom clenched his jaw, grappling with the fact that authenticity demanded more than mere artistic expression. It called for a willingness to face the rawness of his life head-on. Would he be able to embrace this duality, the chaotic and the beautiful? Dark thoughts loomed, hinting at the shadows ahead. The moment of revelation had dawned, but the pathway forward was still tangled with fear and uncertainty. Would he truly take this next step into vulnerability, or would he retreat back into the safety of familiarity? He felt a stirring inside him, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. The next brushstroke awaited, and with it, a chance to unearth the truths he feared most. Overwhelmed, Tom inhaled sharply and made a decision that would pivot not just his life, but the relationship he'd forged with Sam. The smell of paint lingered in the air, enveloping Tom as he found himself staring at their finished canvas. The colors danced in his mind, vibrant yet heavier than he anticipated. Sam's laughter echoed in his ears, but it wasn't just joy that filled the studio. A realization surfaced, an unsettling truth. The artwork they created was now a bridge, one that would lead him away from complacency and force him to confront deeper issues. "Dad," Sam's voice broke through his thoughts. "Will we paint more together?" The innocence in his son's eyes made Tom's heart ache with both pride and fear. This new bond came with an urgency to be real, to be vulnerable in ways he had never dared before. "Absolutely, buddy. But there's something else I think we should talk about," Tom replied, his heart racing. He felt a compulsion to address the elephant in the room, the weight of unshared stories and hidden fears. "What is it?" Sam asked, tilting his head slightly. Tom hesitated, suddenly aware of how to articulate the darkness that often shadowed his thoughts. Sometimes in life, we pretend to be someone we're not. It's easier but not real. I want to be open with you, and I'm hoping you'll do the same. As he watched Sam process his words, Tom's palms began to sweat. This felt more daunting than a corporate presentation he had once nailed without a second thought. He had always been a person of action, yet vulnerability demanded a different kind of courage, a willingness to unveil the depths of his own insecurities, fears, and failures. "Why do you want to be open now?" Sam's brow furrowed with curiosity. "Because, Sam, I've spent far too long hiding who I am and worrying about what others think. And I've realized that the best way to learn is by being yourself, even if it feels scary sometimes," he explained. The truth felt heavy yet liberating on his tongue. Sam considered this for a moment, his gaze darting back to the canvas. "You weren't like this before, right? You used to never talk about anything." Tom swallowed hard, acknowledging the painful honesty laced in his son's words. I thought being strong meant keeping everything inside. But now I see how important it is to share, to connect. It makes us real. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to feel lost sometimes. In the quiet that followed, Tom felt a shift. He was planting seeds, unraveling parts of himself he believed had long been sealed off, yet a fear rooted deeper within him remained. What if exposing these vulnerabilities fractured their bond? Would it burden Sam to carry the truths his father had cloaked? "Can I tell you something?" Sam asked, interrupting his spiraling thoughts. Of course, Tom encouraged, easing into the moment. "Sometimes I'm scared of what people think when I draw or paint. I want to be good. I wish I could be brave enough to just be me," Sam confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. Tom's heart ached for his son's struggle. How could he reassure him when he himself was grappling with the same doubts? "You're brave, Sam. Bravery isn't about not being afraid, it's about creating despite that fear. Remember, every artist starts with a blank canvas, and it takes courage to make the first stroke." As their eyes locked, Tom understood he was not only teaching his son but learning from him too. The cycle of vulnerability had begun, and he felt the ripple of connection strengthen between them. Yet, deep inside, the nagging question returned: could he maintain this openness? What would happen when life's complexities crept back in? With renewed resolve, Tom rolled the paintbrush between his fingers, aware that this was only the beginning of their journey together, a collaboration filled with difficult truths and unparalleled beauty. Each canvas would reveal more than just color. It would explore the raw nature of their experiences, the fears they faced, and the connection they shared. The decision to embrace vulnerability echoed in his mind like a steady drumbeat. But what lay ahead loomed like a vast and unknown expanse. Would he find the strength to walk alongside Sam in this uncharted territory, or would the shadows of his past hold him back? As their laughter resumed, both father and son were enveloped in a sense of newfound bravery. But somewhere in the back of his mind, Tom knew the inevitable challenge awaited. The deeper reckoning would come, forcing him to confront not just his fears, but also to dismantle the very structure of who he believed he had to be. And then, the thought crept in, what if he was about to uncover not only the man he wished to be, but the hidden depths of himself he'd buried for far too long? As the sun set outside, casting a warm golden light across the garage transformed into their makeshift studio, Tom Reynolds stood tall, his heart filled with a profound sense of achievement and renewal. The vibrant canvas, once a mere representation of a sunset, had evolved into a mesmerizing kaleidoscope of emotion, symbolizing not just the connection he had rekindled with his son, Sam, but also the personal metamorphosis he had undergone. Each brushstroke had liberated him from the confines of his past, inviting a rush of creativity he had long thought lost. This artistic endeavor, born from desperation and uncertainty, had morphed into a resolute expression of identity and legacy. The layers of paint had become layers of his emotions, fears, and hopes, revealing a masterpiece woven with the threads of vulnerability. Tom now understood that his recent journey was more than painting, it was a declaration of self. Standing beside Sam, who was animated and engaged in crafting his own art, he marveled at the palpable change in their dynamic. Each laugh shared, each critique exchanged, dismantled the emotional walls that had divided them for so long. The recognition of his son's fears and aspirations mirrored his own challenges, emphasizing a mutual understanding that would serve as the foundation of their relationship moving forward. Reflecting on his once stifled identity, Tom felt a surge of confidence. No longer defined solely by his career as an architect, he had embraced the duality of being both father and artist. The buzzing anxiety of judgment from colleagues faded, overshadowed by the satisfaction of pursuing what made him truly happy. The apprehension that once held him back had transformed into empowerment, reaffirming that creativity flourished not in perfection, but through authenticity. He conquered the chaos of his past, discovering that the journey towards self-acceptance demanded embracing imperfection. Eager to build on this momentum, Tom proposed showcasing their collaborative work at the local gallery, a bold act that reflected his commitment to both his personal growth and his relationship with Sam. As he spoke the words, a rush of elation coursed through him. This was a significant step, not just for personal validation, but as a means to inspire Sam to pursue his own aspirations wholeheartedly. Together, they began drafting their plans for submission, their excitement palpable in the air. As the days turned into weeks, Tom immersed himself in the gallery preparations. The initiative marked an evolution. It represented his courage to step outside his comfort zone and showcase the most personal aspects of his life. The moment he secured their spot in the exhibition, a sense of accomplishment enveloped him. He had conquered apprehension, crafting not just a physical presentation, but a pathway to a future filled with possibility. The evening of the gallery opening came with a flurry of emotions. Standing beside Sam, witnessing attendees marvel at their art was validation beyond any accolade Tom had received in his corporate career. As he took in the vibrant expressions of those around him, friends, family, and strangers, he felt a deep-seated joy radiating from within. Here was the recognition he craved, not solely for his abilities as an artist, but for the emotional journey intertwined in each brushstroke. As the evening unfolded, Tom glimpsed Sam's growing confidence, responding to compliments with genuine pride instead of the usual teen reticence. The transformation in his son echoed Tom's own evolution. They were both emerging from the shadows of self-doubt, stepping into the light of recognition and acceptance. The connection palpable between them became a testament to their hard work, patience, and shared vulnerability. With the exhibition nearing its end, Tom felt an overwhelming satisfaction. He not only embraced his artistry, but also restored his bond with Sam, a connection that had weathered the storms of their past and emerged stronger. This was more than an event. It was a milestone, a celebration of resilience and transformation. In the weeks that followed, the dialogue they had opened around art began to extend into all areas of their lives. The fortitude built through creative expression inspired conversations about dreams, fears, and aspirations that had previously gone unspoken. Their relationship became a partnership grounded in mutual respect and understanding, each navigating their own storms, yet able to support one another in unprecedented ways. Tom had achieved a solid confidence, having claimed his identity as both an artist and a father. He felt an authentic competence, no longer tethered to the past or burdened by societal expectations. The accolades from the gallery were mere affirmations. The true victory lay in recognizing his worth, embracing vulnerability, and, most importantly, achieving a lasting connection with his son. As he stood in the gallery space, now empty after the event, Tom breathed in the quiet atmosphere, letting it settle around him. He had overcome not just professional hurdles, but personal trials, forging a legacy that went beyond architectural designs. His focus shifted from external validation to internal fulfillment, a paradigm shift embodying the quintessence of his newfound identity. In that silent moment of reflection, Tom felt the grip of doubt loosening, replaced by newfound hope and a vision for the future. His personal achievement resonated deeply with the journey he had traversed. Time had come for him to embrace his next steps with unwavering faith in himself. And so, the final brushstroke of his life's work continued to live on, an evolving masterpiece filled with color, connection, and the power of embracing one's true self. Now is the moment to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Show them what transformation really looks like.